Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the effect of drugs on your career and drug testing for employment, how that can affect your job search and getting a job and keeping a job. I'm Nancy from Desert Haven Enterprises in Lancaster, California, and I teach employment skills and I help people find jobs out in the community. Hope this is helpful for you. Drug abuse can ruin your career. Your career is your job's all your life. So people who abuse drugs might think that their actions have no consequences, but that's not true. Drug abuse can ruin the lives of your friends and family. Drug addiction can easily ruin your career. Drug abuse can destroy the start of a brand new job, like you might not even get the job. Or if you do get the job, drug abuse can affect your job by coming in late to work or not showing up for work at all, where you will get fired if you do that too much. Drug use could keep a worker from getting promoted or getting a pay raise because you're not doing your job correctly because of drugs. Drug abuse can cause an addict to lose their job. Keeping a job while on drugs can be very tricky. Some people do it, but it's tricky. Staying up late to party could mean that you'll be late for work or not show up at all. Drug abuse can also ruin your life, which has an effect on your job, obviously. Can create many life problems. Money earned from your job could go to drugs, which should be going to things like rent and car payments and insurance, groceries, and things like that. You lose your house because of drugs. It's really hard to hold a job if you're homeless. So your money that you make from your job should go to things that you need in your life, not towards drugs. Other ways drug abuse can ruin your life: having no money for food, make you tired and grumpy at work, because when we're hungry, we're not happy. If you get arrested and go to jail, almost always that causes you to lose your job. There's some exceptions sometimes, but most people I know have lost their jobs if they've gotten arrested. So when you go to get a job, employers will test sometimes before you get the job and sometimes while you're at the job. During your employment, you might get drug tested. Why do they do this? For productivity reasons. Employers cannot afford to hire employees who will work less because they are on drugs or they don't do a good job. For safety reasons, workers on drugs present a danger to themselves, to their coworkers, and members of the public. Employers cannot allow the safety of others to be put in danger by drug abusers in the workplace. Another reason is to lower their health care costs. Drug users are more likely to cause accidents on the job. They cost 4 times more in medical expenses than the average employee. Workers' compensation will deny coverage if the injury resulted from the use of illegal drugs. Okay, so let me explain that. Workers' compensation is a law where if you hurt yourself at work and it was your employer's fault, that your employer has to pay for your medical expenses. But if you hurt yourself at work, they will test you immediately for drugs. And if you're on drugs, it doesn't matter whether it happened at work or not. Workers' compensation is not going to pay because you are on drugs. So you don't want to risk that. You don't want to risk getting hurt at work because you're on drugs and then you have to pay your own medical expenses, and you'll probably lose your job at that point because you tested positive for drugs. Not worth it. Other drug test policies at work. Excuse me. It's best to stay off drugs, but especially when you're looking for work. Some companies only test for hard drugs when they're hiring, but other companies also test for marijuana and excessive alcohol use. So it's best to stay clean. Excessive, right? Some companies test randomly during employment. Some And that could be, especially if you're in a driving position, a lot of times those jobs have random testing every few months where you just get tested randomly. Some companies also test if you have an injury at work. I just talked about that. Workman's comp won't pay if they find you to be on drugs, and you'll probably lose your job. But an injury will cause them to drug test you. Pay attention to your company's policies when you start a job. You should get a handbook, and you should be very clear about their drug use policies. Drug abuse is dangerous, unhealthy, expensive, and could ruin your career. It's best just to stay clean and stay off of drugs. At a job interview, you're done with the job interview, if the employer hands you some paperwork and sends you to go take a drug test, don't freak out, because this is great news. You want them to send you a drug test because that means you got the job. Drug tests are not free. Employers pay for them for you, but they only pay to drug test people who they plan to hire. So after the interview, if they've sent you to drug test, that means you got the job, assuming you're drug free, right? So it's exciting news. I love it when people get sent to drug test. They got the job. It's great news. Do's and don'ts of drug testing. It could be a little nerve-wracking if you've never done it before. I'm going to lay some of it out here for you. If you get sent to a lab, there's usually a few of them in town. You're going to go wherever they send you because the employer is the one paying for it. So you go. Go immediately afterwards if you can. Don't be afraid of the drug testing. It doesn't hurt. You're just going to urinate into a cup, and it does not cost you any money. The employer pays for it. Don't refuse to take a drug test for whatever reason. They may just assume that you're on drugs and then they won't hire you. So again, stay clean and then it won't be an issue. Do be prepared to go to a lab like Quest or LabCorp. There's different ones. I've been to private ones. I don't know. They'll give you a little map usually or an address and some paperwork to take in, but it will not cost you anything. If the lab asks you what prescription meds you're on, you want to tell them. I don't really know what might show up in a drug test, but it's okay to be on some prescription meds, so you want to let them know what you're taking. Don't try to cheat or trick the system to hide your drug use. If you're using drugs, you just shouldn't even be looking for work. If you're looking for work, you should stay clean so that you don't have to worry when you're drug tested for your job. That's the easiest way. Don't try to drink a magic potion or whatever. That stuff doesn't always work. Sometimes it's a scam. So, whatever you read, just stay clean. That's the best way. Be prepared to be observed during collection. That means when you're peeing in a cup, there might be someone standing there watching you, or there might be a camera in the room, because people try to cheat and trick the system, put water in the cup or whatever. I don't know, but it doesn't work. And a lot of times they will watch you. And so just be prepared for that. It's uncomfortable, but it's part of getting a drug test. Be honest with any questions that they ask you. If it's been a few months since you've done any drugs, you could admit that because it might not show up. So you don't have to worry about it. But really, if you stay clean while you're looking for work, it's not going to be an issue. And then you also want to stay pretty clean while you're working too, because you could be randomly tested and you might lose your job. So there's just other ways to have fun, right? That won't cost you your job. If you like your job and you like making money, then don't spend your money on drugs. Remember, drugs can ruin your career. It can ruin your current job, and then if you get fired, you're going to have a hard time getting another job. So stay clean and get that job, and stay clean on the job in case you're randomly tested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.